business is so hard? Well, first of all, the reason is it's complicated. It's one of the longest definitions of a word you're going to find in the dictionary. So unlike Adam, who loves to Google and does an excellent job at it, I Wikipedia'd the word communication.
You can get the Wikipedia from Google, Jack. Come
That's
on.
what I did.
Oh, okay. There you go. You did
Subsection.
Google.
I
Quit
did.
picking
I
on
did.
me. All right, go ahead.
All right. So when I looked at that definition in Wikipedia of communication, there were 12 long categories. 12. Now let me give you some examples of those. There's verbal communication, nonverbal, written, business communication, family communication, interpersonal, barriers to communication, non-human, that would be an interesting one, models of communication, noise, academic setting for communication. In other words, there's a lot of definitions, and each of these definitions had pages in and of themselves. So if you want to put yourself to sleep someday and take hours to do it, that's a great place to start.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you saying something, Jack? We're on the communication front. I'm messing with you. All right, so
You're
communication.
messing with me. Wait, you gave me a terrified look. Like, wait, did engineer say, "Hey,
no, we're
screw
good."
you"?
I was making a point about how communication can be very difficult, right?
Oh, wait a minute. Okay. So wait, I want to make a point here, though.
Go ahead.
All right. There's a great movie, Back to School, with Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh yeah, one of our favorites.
And Rodney Dangerfield was a successful construction businessman, made a lot of money, just a good man, but really made it through the school of hard knocks and understood what it takes. And the movie, and he's a funny guy. So he also alienated a professor, very pompous professor, in economics, who was out to get him. And the way the show finally wound its way, Rodney was in front of a panel of 3 or 4 people, and this professor was one of them. And they were going to give him a verbal test, and if he passed that verbal test, he would pass and become a success in school. So the professor asked him, when he stood up, the professor said, "I have just one question for you," pointing it to Rodney Dangerfield, who was totally relieved. "I have one question for you, but there's 27 parts to it." And I could not help, when I read the definition in Wikipedia about communication, how complicated it is. That movie kept coming to mind.
Yeah, you got a flashback read through that.
And that was a terrific movie. Now, most workers, and my own personal experience, and I'm going to speak for Adam, I'm sure, on this, most workers are going to say management owners don't communicate enough. They don't communicate enough in the business.
And how often do we hear our clients or owners of companies talk about, "But I told them that numerous times," and they, what do you mean they don't get it?
Stumbling over each other's shoes, that's right. For sure. I have an article here. You know how I like to clip out articles.
Hey, it's my newspaper. Look at that.
That's right. What are those? This article's titled "Transparency is Key to Employee Trust," and it's done by a Cindy Kirchner-Goodman from the Miami Herald. And I just want to read one little section I outlined in this. I thought it was a pretty good article. It's very timely, since communication is what we're talking about right now. So this little section that I outlined here in this newspaper article about transparency. Regardless of the path employees have taken, the debate about open communication still permeates most workplaces. For employers, it's worth noting that skepticism about management transparency is real and troublesome. A full quarter of employees don't trust their employers, and only half believe that their employers are upfront with them. This is according to a 2014 American Psychological Association, so we're in good company there, a survey of 1,562 U.S. workers. That lack of trust is significant because employees are more engaged and happier at companies whose cultures support transparency. And this is according to a 2015 employee retention study of 400 U.S. employees by a Seattle-based Tiny Pulse. That's what it's called, an employee engagement firm. So people want communication, and they're asking for it, and the brainiacs in the world are studying this like mad and saying, hey,